Have you ever wondered how really big change actually happens, especially, when things feel completely stuck?
Hmm.
Sometimes the Bible shows us it's in ways we'd never expect, like right here in Ezra chapter 1.
That's right. Yeah, we're taking a deep dive into this chapter today. Our mission really is just to explore the source material here and pull out the most important insights. And on the surface, okay, it looks like a historical account. It's that moment, the Jewish people, after 70 long years in exile in Babylon.
70 years.
Right. They finally get permission to go back to Jerusalem and start rebuilding their temple. This is all happening under King Cyrus of Persia.
Yeah, it could feel like just sort of dry history. But when you actually read through this chapter, it's absolutely packed with profound lessons. It really is like a masterclass in how God works, how he keeps his promises, and honestly, what we're supposed to do when he starts moving.
Exactly. And what struck me reading this is right there, verse 1. It's the first year of Cyrus, king of Persia, and it says the Lord stirred up the spirit of Cyrus.
Mm.
So this wasn't just some random political convenience. It was clearly a divine move.
And the text highlights why God did this. It was to fulfill a prophecy, one spoken through Jeremiah decades earlier. It just immediately shows you God keeps his word, even across generations, even through what look like impossible situations.
It's the ultimate long game perspective, isn't it? Like the Israelites in Babylon, maybe you're in a season where change feels agonizingly slow, or you're waiting on something really significant. But Ezra 1, it just stands there as this powerful reminder that God's timing is perfect, even if it extends way beyond what we can see right now. Trusting that God is still working, even in the waiting. Well, that's a direct way this story strengthens our faith today.
But the real kicker for me in this verse is who God uses. He stirs up Cyrus. I mean, this isn't a prophet, not a priest, not even an Israelite leader we're talking about. He's a pagan king, a powerful one, ruling a vast empire. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. And it raises a really important question for us, I think. Where might God bring help or influence or even breakthrough into our lives? Ezra 1 just broadens our perspective so dramatically. God can, and clearly does, move through people completely outside our expected circles to get his purposes done.
Yeah.
Being open to that, recognizing his hand in unexpected places, that encourages us to look for him everywhere. And it deepens our faith by showing his sovereignty isn't limited by our assumptions.
So, okay, God stirs Cyrus. And Cyrus makes this incredible proclamation, and not just a verbal announcement, but a written decree. He says, the Lord God of heaven has given him all these kingdoms and charged him to build a house for God back in Jerusalem.
Right. And he doesn't just give permission. He actively tells the Jews to go. He says, whoever among you belongs to his people, may his God be with him, and let him go up to Jerusalem.
And then it gets even better.
Yeah, it does. He instructs the people who stay behind to help those who are returning. Supply them generously, he says. Silver, gold, goods, livestock, and contribute freewill offerings for the temple. It's quite specific.
Okay, so God opens the door, a massive door, through Cyrus. But the sources are pretty clear that people still had to walk through it. Restoration required their action.
Precisely. That's key. God's plan isn't passive waiting on our end. You see, the leaders of Judah and Benjamin, the priests, the Levites, everyone whose spirit God had stirred, they didn't just nod along. They rose up to go. And think about that. That required significant courage. Physical movement after 70 years of settling somewhere else.
A huge upheaval.
Huge. So for us today, it means being ready to act when an opportunity lines up with something God's put on our hearts, or when he clearly opens a door. Whether it's stepping into a new role, rebuilding something broken in our lives or community, or maybe returning to a spiritual discipline we've let slide. When God opens that door, we're called to respond with action, saying yes and actually moving in obedience. That's a fundamental way we deepen our relationship with him. And it solidifies our faith because we see him working through our responsive action.
And it wasn't just the people who physically went up to Jerusalem who were essential, was it? I noticed the chapter emphasizes that the people who stayed behind, they helped strengthen their hands with all those resources, the silver, the gold, the goods.
That's such a crucial point for how we participate in God's work today. You don't have to be the one on the absolute front line, so to speak, to be indispensable.
Yeah.
Those who supported with resources, those who prayed, who encouraged, who maybe helped behind the scenes, they were just as vital to the restoration as those physically laying bricks. We all have different roles, different capacities, especially in different seasons of renewal or rebuilding. Recognizing that, valuing these various ways of contributing well, that's an act of obedience too. supporting the wider community. It strengthens the whole body.
There's one more detail in the chapter that really makes you pause, though. Cyrus didn't just let them go empty-handed. He brought out the vessels, the stuff Nebuchadnezzar had looted from the temple all those years ago. Thousands of gold and silver items, basins, chargers, knives, actual sacred items returned.
Yes, and the text makes a point of listing them, counting them. Cyrus returned these sacred items. It really underscores the importance of honoring what is sacred. Restoration isn't just about rebuilding physical things or getting processes back online. It's profoundly about restoring reverence, spiritual order, setting things apart again for God's intended purpose.
So when we think about this ancient account, what does that final piece spark for you in terms of how we live today?
Well, I think in our own journeys, personal renewal, or when we feel God stirring something new in our lives or communities, we have to be mindful.
Mm.
Mindful to restore not just what was lost in a practical sense, but what was lost in terms of reverence, sacredness.
Okay. So what does that look like?
It could mean prioritizing practices we might have let slip, maybe dedicated time in prayer, real intentional connection with our faith community, maybe just quiet moments acknowledging God's presence, or really trying to bring a deep reverence for God into our daily stuff.
Yeah.
Restoring these sacred practices isn't just like a nice idea. It's presented here as an act of obedience, and it powerfully anchors and strengthens our faith, connecting us more deeply to the one we're serving amidst all the rebuilding.
Wow. Okay, so it really does all come back to trusting God's faithfulness even when things feel slow. Staying open to the unexpected ways he might work. Understanding that our response, our action, is necessary when he opens doors. Valuing every single role in his plan, whether big or small seeming. And committing to restoring what is sacred. It's a really powerful picture from just this one chapter, Ezra 1, that directly encourages our faith and calls us to active obedience.
Absolutely. You see God's hand in fulfilling prophecy, even through unexpected people like Cyrus.
Oh.
That builds deep trust, recognizing that action is required. That transforms passive belief into active faith, valuing every contribution. That fosters unity and shows practical obedience. And restoring reverence, well, that elevates our perspective right back to God himself. It's all intertwined.
Hmm. So, thinking about all these lessons from Ezra 1 about God stirring Cyrus, the exiles returning, the call to action, restoring sacred things, here's something for you listening to consider. What action might you need to take, or perhaps what sacred practice might you need to restore as you participate in what God is doing in your life or your community right now?